button. All right, I'm going to disable your videos and audio and get ready. It's going to be fun. All right, we'll see you on the other side. Oops, that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Oh, leave a note for my husband to be quiet. He comes for lunch and I'll be right back.
Okay. Welcome to episode number 40 of Messages of Inspiration, Hope, and Support. Yes, we're on our 8th week. We're just completing today our 8th week of this virtual stage where we invited speakers to come share their own messages of inspiration, hope, and support. So yeah, we've done this for 8 weeks, been fantastic speakers sharing incredible messages. I'm so super excited to be part of this. I'm Don McGrath, co-founder of Speakers Pathway Coalition, and we are bringing you this virtual stage, Messages of Inspiration, Hope, and Support. And today we've got some great speakers. We've got some great speakers, and I'm just so super excited to bring them to you today. And without further ado, I want to get started. So our first speaker is Claudia Taboada, and she's going to be speaking about going from burnout to unstoppable. So Claudia, welcome to the stage. Hi, Claudia.
Hi, Don. How are you?
Great. How are you doing today?
Good. Hanging in there as a mom of a severely autistic boy who's needs constant supervision, but I'm here and I am ready to go.
Excellent. I'm so super excited to hear your talk, and I don't want to talk any more than I absolutely have to. So Claudia, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I still remember that day as if it was yesterday. It was October 4th, 2009, and I had just crossed the finish line of my first 5K race. And I was elated. I was excited. I went to hug my family. And then I started to cry. I started to cry like a baby. You see, 7 years prior, I had abandoned my career as an attorney in order to stay home with my child, Nico, who had been recently diagnosed with autism. I became his full-time caregiver, and I was not only his mom, but I was his teacher, I was his therapist, I was his advocate, I was his program intervention manager. I became the super autism mom, and in the process, I lost myself. I was burned out, I was overwhelmed, I had no identity anymore. My identity was based on being my son's caregiver. And I was close to losing my mental health several times. And I didn't know how to get out of the situation. I was living my life on autopilot, and I was stuck in this circle of burnout and overwhelmed. And it just so happened that when my son was about 9 years old, we were offered a gift that would change my life forever. My son was offered a guide dog. And at the time, we had no choice but to take the dog out. My husband was traveling a lot, so I had no choice but to take the dog out, even if I had no time for myself. And I started taking the dog out. And I remember the 5 days after I started taking the dog out, I realized that it had been ages since I hadn't been with myself, by myself, and then just taking time for me. And these little walks turned into jogs, which then turned into, I started running. And at the beginning, I had no endurance. I was going up and down the street, then I was going around the block. I was, you know, I was red as a tomato, but I didn't care. I just wanted to go out and take care, you know, take care of me, because I had not had the time to take care of myself. And I remember 3 months after I started running, I went to this running store where I registered. I was going to, there were two ladies there selling tickets for a fundraiser. And it was actually a 5K race. And at the time I had not run more than 3K, but I told myself, you know, something magical happened. I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to register for this race. And I did this race, and I remember turning back, and I was not the last one. And I was elated. This was the moment that changed my life forever. I realized then, it was an epiphany. I realized then and there that I needed to take charge. I needed to take care of my physical, my mental, and emotional health in order to be the best mom I could be to my son, in order to have the longevity, the mental strength, and the vitality to take care of my son well into his older years. And I became hungry. I became hungry for information. I wanted to know everything I could about self-care tips, self-care strategies that I could implement in my daily life in order to manage the chronic stress that is associated with taking care of a severely autistic child who's now 18. And I reinvented myself. That's why I'm here. My name is Claudia Taboada, and I am the author of the recently published book, memoir, Burnout to Unstoppable. And in the next minutes, I will be sharing with you the self-care tools that I use in my daily life. And I believe that we can avoid burnout and combat stress by establishing a bulletproof self-care routine, one that will set us up for success, even when the external circumstances like stress, like overwhelm, like anxiety are in overdrive, just like in these times of COVID-19. And I believe too that in order for us to take self-care seriously, we need to have a mindset shift. We need to realize that self-care, it's not a luxury, but it is a necessity. And I use I believe that in order for a successful self-care routine, we need to have five different elements. A successful self-care routine needs to be holistic. That means that we need to touch at not only the physical health, but also the mental health and the emotional well-being. It needs to be consistent, i.e., on a daily basis. It needs to be intentional. You need to take action, and every day you need to schedule time, be deliberate in taking time for yourself. It needs to be flexible. It doesn't matter if you don't have a lot of time. Start small. Start small, do a morning routine or an evening routine before you go to bed, or do separate, like small periods during the day, which is what I do. And it also needs to be non-negotiable, no guilt, no excuses. So let's go now and look at the 3 pillars of my self-care, for an unstoppable self-care routine. First of all, we need to take care of the body. We need to take care of the mind. And we need to take care of the emotional well-being. Now, as far as the mind, the body is concerned, the body, we need to take care of the body. The body is our temple. The physical wellness is the foundation to the pyramid. If your if the pyramid is shaky, if the foundation is shaky, you will not be able to reach your full potential, and you will not be able to take care of others. So we need to take care of the body first. And by that, if we look at the 4 core elements of physical wellness, we look at nutrition, we look at hydration, sleep, and exercise. Now, with regards to nutrition, we don't have a lot of time to go into deep into nutrition, but I would say that having a nutritious and balanced diet, it's key. And don't skip meals. Try to eat 3 times a day and have small snacks. Hydration. For hydration, we need to try to drink at least between 6 and 8 glasses of water a day. Sleep is huge. Sleep, try to sleep, go to bed with your kids if your kids have sleeping problems like mine, and try to sleep between 6 and 8 hours a day per night. And of course, there's exercise. And exercise is huge. For me, it's probably the key self-care tool. You need to move your body every single day. You need to, even if you don't have time, go for a 15-minute walk, do an exercise video on YouTube, go for a hike, dance, but you need to get the blood flowing. You need to get those feel-good endorphins. Research is anonymous on the fact that exercise is an antidote for stress. It's an antidote for anxiety and for depression. So please move daily. Now, if we go to the mind, I will give you some tips to optimize your mental well-being. And number 1 is to practice stillness and calming the mind. And for that, I would suggest that you do some meditation and mindfulness during the day. It doesn't need to be long, 5-10 minutes, but during your day you can do it. It can be as easy as doing some breathing exercises, as doing some meditation by using an app, going for a walk, and then just being immersed in your surroundings, thinking, just being in the present moment. It's important so that you don't dwell in the past. You're not fearful for the future. Stay in the moment. And I think meditation and mindfulness are key, and they were key in my journey. And another tip that I can give you with regards to optimizing your mindset, it's optimize your focus. Focus on what you have. Focus on what matters, and focus on focus on what matters, and focus on what's important in your life. Like, for example, in these times of COVID-19, focus on gratitude. Like I see people complaining, we're home, and it's boring, and our kids are here, and like so much to do. But you know what? Focus on the fact that you're not one of the people who are on the front lines. You can stay home with your kids. Your kids are safe. Your kids are healthy. Focus on gratitude. I always begin my morning by jotting down 3 things that I'm grateful for, because they say gratitude is the antidote to fear and to anger. So optimize your focus. The other thing too that you can do, especially in times of collective stress like this times, is feed your mind with positivity, and try to preserve your growth, your mental growth. And for that, what I do is I watch the news, but I don't binge on the news. I turn the news off, and I try to listen to audiobooks, to inspiring podcasts, to read books about personal growth, about mindset, so that you are in a positive state, and that you are not stressed by the external environment. So that is key for me, to be able to feed the mind, and to keep it, to preserve a growth mindset and a positive outlook at all times. And now, with regards to the emotional wellness, I'm going to give you 2 tips. I practice journaling. Journaling has been a lifesaver in my journey with my son. And research is clear that they have found that journaling can help the brain regulate emotions and thoughts. And it can be a great way to relieve stress and anxiety. So I journal every single day for about 10 minutes. Either I do it in the morning, or I do it in the before going to bed. But I start with listing my 3 things that I'm grateful for. Then I just take, just write anything and everything that comes to mind. If I have ideas for my projects, if I have, if I want to remind myself of things, good things that I did during the day, I write them down. If I have, fears, for my son, I write them down as well. And then I finish by listing my 3, by setting myself up for the day, for success for the day. So I list the 3 things, my 3 objectives for the day. And that helps me organize my day as well. So I practice journaling daily. Then the other important aspect to optimize your emotional wellness is to optimize your village. And by village, I mean your friends, your family, the people that are around you with regards to your kids. In my case, it's my son's teacher, my son's teacher, his therapist, and just making sure that you surround yourself with positive people, people that encourage you, that motivate you. And in these times of COVID-19, it is important that we keep the connections going, even if we can do it by Zoom call, by Zoom, by doing FaceTime. But it is important not to be isolated. Keep your village, preserve your village, and be connected. And so these are my tips. I hope that that they will serve you in this COVID-19 lockdown. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to my website, claudiataboada.com. And I will be, I told Dawn that I will be gifting our audience a free ebook of my memoir, Burnout to Unstoppable. Have a great day.
Well, Claudia, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with me and with the rest of the people that are watching out there right now on Facebook Live and will listen to this later. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
A couple of things that you talked about really resonated with me. One was journaling.
Yes.
And I think sometimes the struggle that we have with journaling is we get so busy. I got to get up, I got to eat, I got to get in the car so I can commute, so I can go to a meeting. Well, a lot of those pressures have been relieved a little bit for most of us.
Yes, now, these days, of course, yeah.
For me, like, I don't know about you, but my journaling is 5 or 10 minutes. It's not like some big, long, drawn out like thing that takes me an hour and a half, right? It's very fast. And How long does it you usually journal for?
Yeah, about 10 minutes. And you know what I do is like I have a little journal, like something that I can put in my bag. And sometimes I just, like I just take out if I have an idea, if I have an idea or something, I take my journal and I write. So it's something that I do like, regularly, but like in my routine, I incorporate it for a bit, like in the morning, either like 10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes. 10 minutes, but I bring with me my journal. I have a little journal that I can take with me all the time so that I can jot down things and, information or ideas. So, and I think it's for me, it has changed my life, to be able to journal, just like it gives me some, like as the weight of my shoulders, it relaxes me. It relaxes me, and it's important for me because my journey of chronic stress with my son, it's a daily struggle, but I'm able to deal with it now because I have my self-care routine.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And also you brought up your village, the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually found my community has exploded. Like I've actually have made more connections and friends. And I mean, I've met 130 speakers at minimum, right?
It's true.
It's true.
I agree.
It's never been easier
I
to
agree.
connect. It's never
Yeah.
been easier.
Yes. No, I agree. I've been going to challenges and things, and I'm getting all like this amazing friends. I mean, people that like-minded people that I'm connecting with that I probably would not have had time or the opportunity to connect with these people because, now we're home and we're trying to stay positive. We're trying to stay inspired. And I find that it's been amazing. I mean, it's hard to to be able to be with the kids 24/7 and all that. But I believe that for the mindset, it's done wonders. I mean, it's really a time to grow. I believe, if we want to.
Well, thank you again, Claudia. Thank you for stepping forward and agreeing to be part of this project, sharing messages of inspiration, hope, and support. And thank you again.
Thank you.
So our next speaker, I'm very excited to have Ilka Hanshaw come to our stage. She will be talking about emerging as a stronger, more compassionate planet and humanity. So Ilka, I'm going to ask you to turn your video on and join me on the virtual stage. Hello, Ilka.
Hello, can you see me? Or
Yeah, I can see you fine. How you doing?
I can't see myself.
Well, we can see you, so I think that's all good. You can't see yourself?
No.
Well, let's just wing it. So I'm so excited to hear what you have to say, and I'm going to turn my video off. So Ilka, the stage is yours.
Well, hello everyone listening. Are we awakened today? I wanted to start with that because we are in a time of COVID-19 or pandemic, and many people have been talking about this. That is a disease. We look into biological side of it, but it's also a time of great awakening, as many spiritual masters and teachers have been talking about this so-called shift. So are we awakened today? Are we aware that besides COVID-19 just being a biological disease, it's also something to look at as the Great Awakening? We are sort of forced to be home, and disease, if you look at it from the spiritual side of it and the vibrational side of it, is we are forced to stop, to take a rest, to take a break, especially if it's a virus or any kind of disease. We really need to rest at home. So it's a time for us to be home and be with ourselves. We're locked up, sort of. So it gives us the opportunity to ponder upon our lives. We have enough time to be home and our rooms and to ask ourselves these questions of what is happening and be part of the so-called spiritual awakening and shift in our planet. The shift has been happening for the last 40 years, and I first learned that from that Barbara DeAngelis was one of the first authors and speakers and spiritual awakeners in the United States in the early 1980s. And she was the brave woman to start this movement that we are humans and we come to life, and a time comes in our lives where we ask these questions: why I'm here, what is happening, what is my purpose here? Oh, I'm here to learn and share my gifts with the world. It's time to wake up. I need a teacher. I need to find out more about what I'm doing in this world. So we have been in that shift too for the last 40 years, but especially it's much more intense in the last 20 years. And this Great Awakening is like the last phase of that shift. And basically it is moving from that patriarchy. We have been for 10,000 years in that sort of masculine energy, the patriarchy, when we are pushing and doing to get something, doing something to get something, doing something to get something, to overwhelm. And we have been seeing that. I'm sure everyone can relate to that, all those goals and pushing to get them. And but we have been moving from that towards the more softer energy of being in that moment, being into the center of our souls, realizing that when we're in that quiet space in the center of our soul, then we can hear that little voice of what is our next step. So I've been moving towards that softer, they call it the divine feminine energy, softer energy of being, more intuitive, emotional, and that. So welcome to the world of awakening. My name is Ilka Henshaw, and I'm a spiritual counselor, teacher, speaker. Some people call me healer. I'm also a aromatherapist and author. And I love the word awakening because I wrote a book that it's called Are We Awakened Yet? And that book actually, as many of us, we go through life and our life story becomes our life's calling or work. And I was originally going to write a book on healing, sharing a little bit about my story and what we're all going through as humans. But it turned into a book on taking care of the earth. So it's all about awakening. We are spiritual counselors or teachers, healers. We're called, and we have been learning that. I have been learning this for the last 25 years. So we're called to, as one of my friends told me, to rise and shine and to support others, to awaken others, for them to understand all this, that our planet has been in a shift for the last 40 years, and to assist humanity with its awakening and rebirth. And speaking of rebirth, this is exactly what is happening. Birth as itself is suffering, but is a catalyst. So we are the catalyst for this deep evolutionary awakening for our planet. We, the teachers, the counselors, the speakers, and that on awakening. So it's my honor and privilege to get out of my shell and play big. I've been told for the last 10 years especially that I need to show up in a big way, because part of the being is who we are becoming. Not about the doing, but who we are becoming to have our dreams come true and to manifest these dreams and to live our passion and our purpose and our vision in this world. So we basically are doing that, and we're just told that this is how we need to do that. And it is a wake-up call for all of us as humanity. and it's the rebirth. And I was going to make that parallel that happened in our humanity, the 14th to 16th century, the Renaissance, from French meaning rebirth. So that sort of similar thing happened. And so many innovations come, including the Gutenberg, and creating, he invented and came up with that printing, the printing um, machine. So now we have paper to print and share our books or writings with the world. And of course, all this art came about the Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. Astronomer Nicholas Copernic came and shared with us what is really the solar system. And it was a change of beliefs, basically. It was a shift um, basically from the feudalism and that medieval age to about new ideas, overthrowing the old views and customs in the world. So that's sort of what is happening today. Many innovations happen when people are in lockdown. So this is what happens to us in our world in COVID-19. People are home, and there is a lot of creativity coming up. And all these new things are being created and found, and we come together, and that's what it's all about. We come together as humanity to be more loving, more compassionate, more kind to each other. I see that everywhere. I hope everyone does. And we are also learning how to do things together, to be in collaboration and tackle global crises like that. And to me, it's maybe like a practice. Who knows what might come next? I'd like to believe that the last thing that will happen to us, the last global crisis, but who knows? So we're learning how to come together as countries and communities and tackle that together. And to me, as a healer or spiritual counselor, I also see how we were responding. I teach how we can achieve our dreams. That's what I teach and support people with, that we can have our dreams and visions and work in this world, and we can shine our gifts and light to the world by releasing the baggage and the limiting beliefs we carry. We all go through life, and as little children, we create some beliefs as a coping mechanism. Emotional pattern is basically survival mechanisms. So we create those to survive, but a time comes when these old beliefs don't serve us anymore. So this is what I teach and support people with, how to be a detective and find those limiting beliefs, baggage, that issues in the tissues that are our own, but we also carry some of our ancestors' limiting beliefs or baggage, and the science proves that. It proved it in the last 20 years, the science of epigenetics, that we don't just inherit our ancestors' physical features, but also we inherit their issues in the tissues and their baggage and emotions and addictions and all that. So we need to take care of that for ourselves and show responsibility for each one of us to do that, so we can rise as a collective beings and as a humanity and a planet, and to have less suffering. Of course, suffering is catalyst, but we don't want so much of it. When we learn from our lessons, then we rise and we have more joy. And that's what the purpose of life is joy. So sharing care, what is really happening if we experience certain struggles today, that this comes from our childhood, and I have different ways of coping with that. I study aromatherapy and how essential oils are so powerful for that. So that's how I started 18 years ago, learning the essential oils and how to do emotional release. And I constantly learn because I needed to. I didn't have a choice but heal, to learn and heal and learn how to do that. And I was a scared child. My teacher told the whole high school that I was in 1,000 students that I was the shyest student she had. And so I'm someone that was hiding in my shell, and I was terrified growing in a family with abusive father. So it was a scary childhood. There were great moments too, and there was joy and traveling in that, but also there was a scary time. I never knew what my father could come up with, and we were so scared with my brother. So that's the world that I come from. And again, where I would be without my struggles, I learned to be stronger, to be kinder, to be more compassionate and more loving, and working on myself and doing my own healing and constantly learning and healing. That's what I started doing, sharing with others how they can go through this and realize that there is a better life, that we don't have to be scared or angry and terrified and let down, having that I'm not worthy, I'm not enough. The I'm not enoughness is the number one humanity's limiting beliefs. So we don't need to be into that. We can shift from that. And as we understand more that how we do anything is how we do everything, the not enoughness will show up in every area in our life. Like I don't have enough love, or I don't have enough clients or money or whatever. I don't have enough joy. That shows up everywhere. And we fill up our lives with whatever it is, quotes, trying to get stuff. Now, toilet paper, many people uh, hoarding the toilet paper. So we hoard so many things because we don't feel enough inside. And working on that, moving and shifting towards being enough, being who we truly are, and shining our light to the world, finding our gift and sharing it with the world, that love and that. So I have been doing that for 18 years, and I know I only have so much time. If that resonates with anyone, and if anyone can relate to that sort of my story is becoming my life's work, or my life's calling, if anyone can relate to that and wants to learn more, needs a teacher to be more spiritually awakened, I'm available. Again, my name is Ilka Henshaw, and I have a website with my name, Ilka's Healthy Heaven. Again, ILKA, Ilka, as Ilka's Healthy Heaven. I do free Thursdays teleclasses for anyone in the world to come up the last Thursday every month. So we're in May. This month is May 28th, the last Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I do that free teleclass. You can connect with me and hopping into that class where I share information, and then there is questions and answers always, and healing. One of the things that I share now for all is to practice that meditation of what if I could be, what if I can be in the center of my soul, and just spend time in that sort of meditation. Because our monkey mind will tell us, oh, you're thinking of that, but see the evidence, that is not it. You are a loser, or you didn't create this or that. So when we say, what if I can be in the center of my soul, we realize that we have more space, and we have more time to even breathe, time and space. We can do some deep breathing and really hear this little voice, our soul. We can really hear that little voice, and that to be our next step, and the next step and next step, what we are to do today, or next day, or every day. So that's one little exercise that I teach. And of course, I wrote an article. It's called The Great Awakening. It's in the Natural Awakenings magazine here for South Florida. Every city has Natural Awakenings magazine in every county in the United States. So if you're in South Florida, you might see that in the Whole Foods or other health food stores. But I invite listeners to read my article. It's on my Facebook too, Ilka Henshaw, through Facebook, and I share a lot more about that. But being in the center of our soul, doing some meditation and staying in the positive, we need to be grateful for life itself. And this is my main tip, that we're awakened, we are here today. So we're alive, and, most likely healthy. So we need to be thankful, number one, for our life and that we're healthy and we can show up and share our gifts with the world. So being to the positive, this will pass, and we'll be on the other side as more loving, more compassionate humanity. So that's what that great awakening is, that shift will end with that phase. And we will work in more collaboration and love in our world. And I see that, everyone probably sees that. I want to express thank you and everyone to remember the people that are the frontliners, that are saving lives and that risk their lives for us to be healthy and, for that COVID to be gone pretty soon. So thank you, thank you, thank you for our first responders, for all of those that are filling the shelves so we can shop and eat and have everything that we need to go through that and come back to our new normal. It will never be the same normal, but it will be the new normal in our world. And I just wanted to share that. And I don't know if my time is up. I really wanted to share and care, and for all the listeners to realize that if some things are not working right now, it's because we need to look into those blocks and limiting beliefs and clear them up. And again, thank you for having me here today and sharing that opportunity and what is that wake-up call for us as humanity and what we can do as humanity all over the world.
Well, thank you so much, Ilka. Thank you so much. I really appreciate what you shared today. I really like what you said about stepping into your greatness, really taking it to a whole other level. One of the things that, it's easy to think about. One of the things I've found is speaking, like getting up and doing what you're doing, getting in front of other people and articulating your message, telling a story is one of the best ways to discover that greatness. And so I would encourage anyone who kind of thinks they may have that within them, but they kind of don't know what to do, find an opportunity to get out there, get in front of people and share your message.
That's what I was taught, to get out of my shell and show up and be seen, to share my message with the world.
You don't want to be the light under the barrel, right?
We want to shine our gifts to the world.
All right. Thank you so much, Ilka.
Thank you, Dan, so much for this opportunity for me to share my message of awakening and greatness for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So our next guest, we go back a ways, probably a few years. So Robyn Mussler is going to be talking to us about stepping out of your comfort zone. Welcome, Robyn.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure, and it's been way too long. So anyways, yes, I'm delighted to be here to help people. It's in these challenging times. I think that it's really about putting things in perspective and getting out of that comfort zone. And really, even before this pandemic happened, there were so many things that we were going through. And so now this is actually a time that helps us kind of reflect so that we are actually able to create a better norm. So I wanted to share. I'm
going to turn my video off so you can have the stage. So Robyn, the stage is all yours.
Okay, I am going to, let's see here. I'm going to share my screen. I have a few slides to share with everybody. Can you see my screen? Am I sharing? Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. So, throughout our journey in life, there are so many different roads for us to navigate through. Some are short, that are kind of considered part of our muscle memory, and we consider them part of our comfort zone. And many are long and complex, and they are challenging to get from one point to the other. Yet and in today's world, it is full of constant disruptions and innovation. It is essential for us to develop a solid life's toolkit to be able to shift that mindset, to look at things a little differently, to determine which roads to navigate through. To combine with our ability to step out of that comfort zone and adapt our style with that kind of growth mindset to overcome those obstacles, to determine the roads and pathways that you will take to your desired destination. I'm going to do just a little activity here that it's a little bit more engaging in person, but I still want to do it even in this virtual world. And that is, I want to put all of you guys into the driver's seat, right? So we have come from a world where we have all these norms that now we're being very challenged to figure out what that new norm is. And so at the count of three, what I'd like everybody to do, and unfortunately I can't see you, but I can imagine you, and I want you just to clap your hands like you normally would. Just, don't even think about it, just clap your hands. So on the count of three, 1, 2, 3, clap, freeze. So how did that feel? Was that comfortable? Was it like on autopilot? Like you didn't even realize what you were doing, right? What I'd like you to do now is I want you to clap again, but I want you to pay attention to how you're clapping. So let's do it again on the count of three. 1, 2, 3, freeze. So how many of you, when you clapped, your normal way of doing that, and I can't see you, but that's okay. I can imagine you. How many of you actually had your right hand on top when you clapped? Well, studies indicate that those that clap with their right hand on top are the most intelligent people in the world. And then for those of you who clap with your left hand on top, studies indicate that you're the most creative people in the world. So it's so wonderful to be with intelligent and creative people. And then for those who may have maybe clapped a little bit in between, you're unique and we'll take you. Everybody has their uniqueness. So now let's try something different. Let's try to clap differently. So the opposite way of what you are accustomed to. So this really is relating to where we are at today, dealing with this pandemic and being forced, right, to look at doing things differently that are not maybe that comfortable way to do it. And so now on the count of three, let's clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. So did you remember to use your other hand to put on top? Did that feel comfortable? Or did you go to the way that you've always done it and clapped the same way? So let's try that again. And I'd like you to think about it, right? So think about shifting that mindset to say, I can do this, and go ahead and clap. So on the count of three, 1, 2, 3, clap. How did that feel? Did it feel uncomfortable? Were you able to make it happen? Or did you go, wow, I actually did it and it didn't feel so bad? Did it feel a little awkward? And did you remember, or did you go back to your old ways? Well, now we are in a stage in our lives where those old ways no longer serve us. We need to learn from what they taught us to adapt a new norm. So do you think in the right circumstances, you could shift your mindset to adapt your style to create a new norm? You absolutely could. And especially in today's time, we are really being challenged to kind of figure out what is that new norm. So I do know one thing, that we're moving forward. So whatever that new norm is, that's where I'm going. And I know that it's going to take me adapting my style, but that's okay, because we are all together figuring out how to step out of our comfort zone, to get that mindset, to just open it up a little bit, to be able to be comfortable once again. So how do we calibrate our inner compass to navigate through this world of 24/7 with technology and information coming at us at such an incredible pace? There are those of you that are comfortable with technology, others who are just, you know, you want to put your hands up and say, I'm just frustrated as heck. But right now, when we think that we have things mastered, the roads change, and frankly, some of those roads no longer exist, and we need to figure out a different way. My background is in technology, and I help my customers develop and implement systems and processes to be more efficient and profitable. I am a problem solver. I love solving problems. About 5 years ago, I came across a very interesting problem, quite by accident. I was asked to judge a high school technology competition. And let's say that, you know, it really was not reflective of industry. And so I offered, not knowing what I was getting myself into, I offered to put something together that would help our next generation get a better understanding of what those correct skills that they need in order to be successful in technology and the different career paths that it may afford them. This program is so exciting. What I love about it is I get to work with my colleagues, experts of problem solving and putting solutions together, along with this next generation of bright, brilliant ideas that all they're wanting is a hand extended to help them take their ideas and build them into viable products to take to market. And through this program, both sides are having to step out of their comfort zone to work together towards one common goal. It's the most beautiful thing, that we are respecting what each other brings to the table and looking at their different way of looking at things to come together to build solutions. And this way we are helping to develop the next generation to build those skills and to develop their toolkit to be prepared for the real world, no matter what path they choose to take. This year, right in the middle of the program, we had to pivot. And I could not be more proud. These kids demonstrated to me that they've got what it takes. I was in tears looking at their pitches, interacting with them, and seeing their resiliency and desire to move forward and to put in their best effort. And you may ask, why is this toolkit so important? A person's toolkit, what does it do for them? It allows them to be prepared to navigate through the obstacles of those difficult, windy roads presented to us in this forever changing world. And that's the one thing that we can count on, is that it will change. And so we've got to be comfortable with that. It allows us to put ourselves in the driver's seat, to be the best driver to get to our desired destination. This past winter, I had the joy of going to Yellowstone with my family. And we went to the Buffalo Bills Museum. And I came across this display. And it just really, resonated with me. Life's Toolkit. So this is the Native Americans' Life Toolkit. And what amazed me about it was its simplicity and portability. It made me realize how many basic skills we have in common in our toolkits, but it's just those tools have kind of evolved over the years. Since the beginning of civilization, the concept of having a toolkit with skills and tools has always been there to help us determine our path in our life's journey. I believe this is a toolkit that all of you are so much more comfortable with, and that every single one of you, you either have it in your hand, you have it on your desk, you have it in your purse, it's close by to you. And we all know that this tool is far from perfect. Even though many of you struggle to part with your phone, there are features that work well, and then there's others that are not so desirable. What type of technology will replace your cell phone? What will our tools look like in the next year, in the next 3 years, in the next 10? At the rate of change, it will be significant. And in this world of disruption we live in, nothing seems to quite fit or make sense anymore where it once did. You may ask, what are the essential skills we need in our life's toolkit? How we connect the multitudes of fragmentation all around us is key. We need to have the courage to open new networks, openly collaborate with others to work through these difficult, windy roads and obstacles. Some roads seem to go nowhere, or at least nowhere that makes sense anymore or at the moment. Through our determination to survive and succeed, we must look at these fragments and the roads differently to build and adapt for those new tools, to set new standards, to create new norms. We must take a step back and look at our network holistically from a 360 perspective to ensure we are not creating more problems or chaos when we build new. As we grow and expand, it is easy to build a new road, but what is far more challenging is fitting a new one into the existing infrastructure. We need to ask, what is its purpose? How will it be used? This is true for both our digital and physical worlds. There is no clear, easy roadmap, and there will always be challenges, but how we connect to the dots in our transformation determines the roads we build and the destinations we create. In an effort to develop our toolkit and design the roads to our pathways to our desired destination, let's try something completely different to expand our capabilities and opportunities, to shift our mindset, to look at things from another perspective, to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to get messy and be resilient through the process. In other words, be creative, connect, and innovate. Count on it changing because it definitely will, but have fun with it along the journey. Each of our lives' toolkits will be unique to each of us depending on our strengths and experiences. The skills connected to our toolkit are foundational no matter how our world changes or the type of tools we end up using. Next time you find yourself confused, frustrated, overwhelmed, what I'm sure so many of you feel that way now, know that this is the sign of your creativity striving to come out. Turn that emotion into your drive to create something better. Look at problems that need solving. Stop waiting for permission or someone else to lead the way and step out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for that great. You never know until you start connecting the dots where your path will lead. Don't be afraid to take the wrong path because there really are no wrong paths. It's just a different way to connect the dots to your desired destination. So let's start connecting. And I want to thank you. And I am honored to be with the next generation of the most intelligent and innovative people in the world, and can't wait to see what we all start connecting together.
Thank you, Robyn, for that incredible message. It's so wonderful to hear about this next generation, and this is changing our generation's lives. But think how it's going to mold the next generation's lives, and the kind of things that are going to come out of this.
You know, I just kind of want to share with people, because I know that there's a lot of people that are frustrated with technology, and rightfully so, right? But I will tell you, this year really taught me a lot with these kids, that they are brilliant and that they are so ready. And when I pivoted and went virtual and we used this really cool tool, right? We really challenged everybody, our mentors, our judges, the kids themselves. And I asked the kids, I said, so what do you think about this whole thing? So keep in mind, we are talking about 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And their comeback to me was this, and I want everybody to think about this, is that they said, you know what, Robyn? Our whole life is being canceled and postponed, and you didn't cancel on us. You forged forward, and we were able to persevere and make a difference. And I know that these are challenging times, and so many times we want to cry and just go into a corner, but think of that next generation, because they are there to help us lead the way, and they're brilliant. And so let's keep our strength inside to help lead the way with them.
I love that. And people who are listening, if you've always wanted to speak, there's never been more opportunities. If you've wanted to create a webinar, there's never been a better time. And so, regardless of what age you are, in fact, I think if our teeth are a little bit longer, you know, we can actually set some great examples, because I think the younger generation knows that we're a little more challenged when it comes to technology. So I really love that message, Robyn. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
All right, so just wrapping up for our 40th episode of Messages of Inspiration, Hope, and Support. I want to thank all of our speakers, and this is Don McGrath, co-founder of Speakers Pathway, and I couldn't be more proud of all the speakers that we've had. I couldn't be more proud of the whole team at Speakers Pathway who have worked to support this incredible virtual stage platform. Next week is our final week. We've by the end of next week, we will have featured 130 speakers, and you will see their talks up on our website, speakerspathway.com, as well as on our Facebook page, Speakers Pathway Coalition. So go check it out. Here's some messages of hope, inspiration, and support. Peace out.